and welcome back to another Inside Texas live show. Joined here with my man Pack again and Keenan Womack. Keenan, how we doing, brother? Good to see your face.
It's good to see your face too, my friend. How are you doing, Cord?
Hey, doing good, man. Doing good. Nervous about this weekend, but outside of that, doing really, really well. Appreciate your asking. Pack, how are you, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
Chilling, man. Chilling. Real quick before we get into everything you need to know about Texas and Oklahoma, what you can do for now is hop on over to InsideTexas.com. Go ahead and subscribe there. Number one place for recruiting scoops, in-depth analysis. We got game planning, got the X's and O's content. You'll see it all over there and on the forums as well as here on the YouTube channel as well. But, man, the forums are a lot of fun. Y'all hop on over there and be a part of that. Game day is coming up, and game day is the best time to check those forums out. Good or bad, it's always entertaining. All right, fellas, we're here. Everything we need to know about Oklahoma and Texas this weekend. We got Dave Myrick joining us very shortly to give his perspective from the Oklahoma side. But first, and I'm going to start with you, Pack. When you look at this Oklahoma team, obviously, I feel like the defensive line outside of John Mateer, which we'll get into shortly, but outside of John Mateer, I feel like it is the defensive line that kind of gets the most hype, the most publicity. Obviously, a very, very good pass rush. They're very deep. In your eyes, what makes them elite? What do they do really, really well? And then lastly, do you think Texas, we have any tricks in the bag or have any answers for, a really damn good center defensive line?
Yeah, so I think it starts with how disruptive they are. Venables will run a lot of stunts with them, whether that's like a pop stunt where they're sending a tackle through B gap, picking the hip of a tackle, and then wrapping the edge into A gap, or just reversing that so the edge is picking someone and then you're wrapping internally. I think they do a really good job of canceling gaps. So they do a really good job of kind of more or less putting the ball into like bubbles and keeping it really restricted. They do a good job of forcing the ball in spots where they want it, which works really well because they tend to gap shoot their backers. They play super downhill with their backers. They're not as patient. So I think that really helps them. They get a lot of one-on-ones. They one gap a lot, and they let their really talented D-line go to work. It's a lot of just play your gap and then get vertical, and whatever happens, happens. You're not going to see a lot of two-gapping the way you saw with Florida, where it's a lot more about keeping your linebackers clean and letting them clean up plays. With OU, it's let's be aggressive, let's play downhill, and I think that works really well for the roster that they have with how athletic they are. So it starts with Venables and how he schemes up them and how he makes their life super easy, and then them taking advantage of that. I think that's kind of where it starts with the defensive line. And then for tricks for Texas, I think it just starts with, can you communicate, right? So I know that you saw a lot of slide protection on Saturday against Florida, and Ron Roberts did a lot of things to attack that, whether that was getting into their loaded fronts and showing three to a side to force a slide there, or whether it was mugging both their backers and then dropping them, bringing a nickel and whatnot. So you have to be able to communicate. You kind of have to be a football player. You got to have some instincts to you. Got to know that someone's not always going to enter your gap. You got to go find work. So, that's like the first trick, which shouldn't be a trick, but for this Texas O-line, it kind of feels like it is. You got to communicate. That's step one. And then in terms of how you set up the protection, it's really hard against a guy like Venables because they do so much. It's a little bit like Ron Roberts in the sense of you don't really always know where pressure's coming from. Some of the times you'll see them show 7-up presentations. They'll show a cover 0 look, and they'll bring only 4 guys. Other times they'll bring all 7. They'll bring 5. You don't really know. So it really is just you got to communicate. You got to do a good job of doing your assignment and playing with good instincts and trusting what you see.
Yeah, easier said than done, to bounce back from a difficult performance last week in Gainesville when you have – this front lined up across the ball from you. So, yeah, Texas is going to have to figure a few things out. Take a little bit of the heat off of Arch Manning would be really good to find find a bit of a run game. And OU has given up a couple of big plays on the ground this year. Keenan, same question for you, man. When you look at this Oklahoma defense, I feel like that's kind of what gives Sooners the confidence really that they have right now. obviously the offense, even with a John Mateer, if he's there, they're far from a perfect offense. So when you look at this version of Oklahoma football, man, what are the first things that jump out for you?
Well, damn, I'm not going to do a better job than he just did. That was amazing, dude. That sounded like you've been grinding tape and stuff, dude. That was awesome. I don't think we've met before, by the way. I'm Keenan. I'm more on the basketball side, but they wanted to bring me in because I'm good vibes, I guess. I think it's all going to come down to, with the route running, right? Like, I think it's going to have to be short routes, like not long developing routes. I think that was something that got them in trouble against Florida, was these routes that take you from one side of the field to the other. And I think they need to be quick breaks. They need to be quick out routes. I think it's so much of it is going to come down to whether or not these guys are getting out of their breaks and Arch is able to throw these balls quick, just get the ball out quick. Because I think the tackles aren't as much of a problem as the interior of the line kind of is, right? Like, we saw so much pressure coming up the middle, and that's so much more difficult to deal with if you're a guy like Arch. It's like, yeah, he can escape the pocket, super good athlete, but I think so much of this game is going to come down to how these interior offensive linemen handle the pressure from the interior defensive line of Oklahoma. Because, I think Gooseby has done a pretty good job. Sorry. I think Gooseby's done a pretty good job. I think Baker's had his struggles, but he's starting to figure it out. I think the interior of the offensive line is really, really going to attack. I can see a lot of inside linebacker blitzes, stuff like that going on. Whether Mateer plays or if he's available, going to be a huge player in this game, obviously. But man, really, I don't have a ton of confidence. If I'm coming from a Texas perspective, I am a Texas grad, but try not to view it from a my team perspective. But if I'm a Texas fan viewing this game, I don't feel great, probably, considering Oklahoma's – I don't know how good Oklahoma is overall. I don't think they're like a national title contender. But what I do think is that their biggest strength is Texas' biggest weakness, which is interior defensive line play versus an interior offensive line for Texas that hasn't been that great.
I mean, hard to argue any of it from either one of you guys. If we can't block Oklahoma, then it's going to be a long afternoon in the Cotton Bowl. You've got to be able to help out Archie. It makes it really, really difficult when you're having to he's having to flee the pocket. He has really no idea what direction, just because on any given play, it could be up the middle, it could be right, it could be left. Got to help that guy out just a little bit. Dave, welcome.
Gentlemen, how we doing tonight?
What's up, brother?
Just singing our offensive line's praises. Pack, Dave, I'm not sure if y'all met. Keenan and Dave. I'm not
What
sure
up, Dave?
What's going on, gents?
Good luck in the game, but not too good of luck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You understand the vibes?
Did you guys hear the breaking news that John Mateer is probable now? Who saw that coming, right?
Oh, who could have seen that coming?
No idea when that line switched yesterday to OU -1.5 that something was up in the woods. And then, I guess John Mateer is probable, guys. OU's not been a juggernaut all year on offense. I don't think that's going to change against Texas. I don't care who's taking snaps. That Texas front seven is really good. I did see Florida kind of gash Texas in the run game some with some zone schemes, getting wide on that 6 technique. Kind of assume OU might try some of that. I just don't know if they've got the personnel to do it. But if they can't run, I think this is going to be a 4-quarter war in the Cotton Bowl. I don't see separation for either team, to be honest with you.
I made my prediction with expecting John Mateer to play. I might have had a little bit of Dave's help on that, but I expected John Mateer as a gamer. I will say I felt like it was trending like he wasn't going to play, just with all the trying to read the tea leaves, maybe a little bit too much on my part. And again, him being probable, I feel like it doesn't guarantee that he's out there. Maybe it's more mind games. But again, this is a big one for Oklahoma. You want to beat Texas. Venables has struggled with the Horns just a little bit. Obviously, 2 of the worst losses in their program's history against Texas. And again, they didn't have a quarterback in those games, essentially. No disrespect to Michael Hawkins. He just wasn't ready for that one. And again, Jackson Arnold, I was kind of surprised y'all never threw Jackson Arnold out there last year, even for a couple of series. But when he looked the way he did it in that Tennessee game, whose offense is worse? I mean, I feel like that's a really hard question to answer, because considering the opponents, we've looked worse, I would say. I think that's fair. Y'all's offense. Sooner offensive line certainly has looked better. The ground game for Oklahoma has looked better. As far as the passing game, Texas might be a little bit more explosive. I don't know if we keep hitting that post over concept. Get off Arch's nuts is not the O-line. It's both. And I've said plenty about Arch's play over the first few weeks. I will give you that.
Yeah.
And Arch can help this offensive line by getting rid of the ball a little bit earlier, like Keenan said.
Hang on, what's this guy talking about? Have you been praising Arch and saying he's getting it done? I don't think the problems have been Arch, just to be honest with you.
I didn't really go and praise
He's
the guy.
inconsistent, right? Like he's shown flashes, but yeah, obviously he's not where he needs to be. But he against Florida had no time at all. Like he was getting just blasted. I mean, yeah, he was missing open throws. When you look down the field, it's like, yeah, the guy's open, but this dude's in his grill. He's getting drilled like half the time. Like he just doesn't have time. The interior pressure was so great on him in that Florida game. I mean, I'm not saying Arch is a world beater yet. He's not, but like you have to have some kind of criticism for this offensive line if you think it's all on Arch. There's no way you can think it's just all on him.
Well, I mean, guys, when do you put the onus and blame kind of on Steve Sarkisian for keep drawing up these long developing pass plays if you can't block it up?
That's what I was saying. Yeah,
all of it goes hand in hand. You draw up these double moves and these long developing plays, and yeah, I mean, it makes more sense that you're going to have a little bit more heat in the backfield. As for me, I mean, you just can't really dress up 36 pressures as anything more than what it's 36 pressures. You know, you can't be like, oh, well, you know, I mean, if we ran a lot more, 36 pressures is rough. Even if you're a team that is, you know, taking a lot of shots down the field. I don't remember where it was. It might have been in the Inside Texas group chat, but it was said something like Arch's like yard per attempt or something was just over 20. Now, again, this is after playing catch up and him flinging some balls downfield late in that game. I don't want it to be like that against Oklahoma. I don't feel like that's a super good recipe for success. And now, Pack, I mean, you know, are you in agreement that Texas is going to have to hit the short and the intermediate game? I don't think Brent Venables is going to allow Texas to take and hit many shots in this game. You can still get one-on-one with a corner out there, even in that three-high safety look. But what do you expect mostly the three-high safety look from Brent Venables and them trying to contain everything underneath? And then, you know, they're very, very aggressive, let their 4 or 5 man front work, or are you expecting something different from Venables for the majority of that one?
So if you would have asked me at the beginning of the season, I'd say a lot of 3-high. But when you go watch them, they're pretty diverse in terms of what they're doing right now. You'll see a lot of 5 and 6 man pressures where they're going to play a fire zone or some form of like 3 deep, 3 under. You'll see some 3 deep, 2 under, some eyes and hot stuff. You see some cover 0 in there. You do see some 3-high. You saw that early in the year for them. I think they could play 3-high just because if they think they can stop the run, and then they can get into all the different stuff that Venables wants to do from 3-high, whether that's rolling into Tampa 2, where they're going to roll that middle safety down and become a pull runner, or they're going to go play cover 3, or they're going to play double buzz. They'll spin down to quarters. I think it depends. I think this is one of the things that makes preparing for Venables so tough is they do have a ton in their toolbox, and they show you a lot of different stuff. They're very much like Ohio State. I said this on the show Tuesday. To me, out of all, I think what Ohio State does is what Oklahoma does, except Oklahoma has more stuff in there. Because you'll see them disguise a ton. You'll see them do all the different rotational stuff that Ohio State does with the non-traditional Tampas. You'll see them play cover 3. You'll see them play some palms pressures. They're very diverse in terms of what they do. It makes them really hard to prepare for. So I don't know what you're going to get. I don't know that Texas is going to know what they're going to get. You assume you'll get some 3-high in there because you've seen it the last 2 years. You assume you'll see a lot of 5 and 6 man pressures, but just like with Ron Roberts, you don't really know where stuff is coming from. They're really exotic in terms of what they do, and that's what makes them super hard to prepare for.
No, well said, man. I mean, if you watch the All-22, they're going to make you prepare for everything. I mean, I can imagine the Texas's prep. You know, I mean, you look at the Kent State game. They ran some 3-high. They ran a ton of different looks. They're blitzing still deep into the fourth quarter. You know, and again, I don't think Brent Venables necessarily takes the route of like, okay, let's give them a lot of looks underneath and just trust our 4-man pass rush. You know, that's just not his DNA, really. You know, he's going to be a little bit more aggressive than that. take a little bit more risk. But there's a method to the madness. Absolutely, well said on Pac's part. And again, Pac knows his shit, man. It's fun to listen to him.
No kidding. This is wild. Dude.
Yeah,
this is
it's
awesome.
fun, man. Yeah, we recruited him over to our channel. He's over there weekly, running his own show. He's the man.
Ball
all right, ball knowledge, baby. All right, Dave. We're going to get to you on a couple names I want, that are going to make a difference Saturday for the Sooners. But first, before we do that, we're going to hear a word from our sponsor, David McClellan.
Big financial decisions don't have to feel overwhelming. There's someone who can guide you every step of the way. David McClellan is a fiduciary financial advisor with Forum Financial, and he's working closely with his clients as a true financial life coach, guiding every aspect of your financial journey with expertise and care. If his name sounds familiar, that's because David was a swimmer at Texas and a member of several national championship teams. Today, he channels that same championship mindset into helping people win with their finances. David specializes in financial planning, and he's contributed numerous articles to Kiplinger on the topic of retirement tax bombs. And right now, David is offering viewers a free intro consultation to assess your financial situation. Do not miss this chance to get personalized guidance from a trusted expert. To schedule your free consult, email David at dmcclellan@forumfinancial.com, or you can call him directly at 312-933-8823. The contact info is in the description.
All right, and welcome to the channel, K-Man. Material listed as probable. I'm going to let Dave talk a little bit more about that. But Dave, I need a couple names offensively and defensively that maybe Texas fans, they know who John Mateer is. There are a couple names on that defense that they know. Who do they walk out of the Cotton Bowl with being like, damn, that dude's a baller?
Look, this is going to be kind of surprising, I think, because the guy's been MIA so far this year. But I really liked what I saw from Jaden Knott last week, the Cal transfer. He didn't rip off 70-yard runs, and that's okay. I saw the complete package in running back. There was suddenness, there was burst, there was vision, and there was patience to set up blocks, all things we have not seen from an OU running back this season. I think he's starting to hit his stride. Why it took this long, really nobody has any idea. But the fact is he's going to provide OU an element they haven't had yet this season, and it couldn't come at a better time against a really good Texas front seven. So I think Jaden Knott is going to play a huge part on offense. And Kendall Daniels, David Stone, Kip Lewis and Kobe McKenzie. Kendall Daniels starting at Cheetah for Brent, very versatile. He's about the first guy that's been able to do both, right? He can flip his hips in pass coverage and run with a lot of people, and he's big enough to hold the edge and run support. He's been that one reason why this defense is so dynamic, why Pac was talking about they're so versatile, is having a guy like Daniels on it. They don't have to sub, dependent down and distance, pass versus run. Number 5 for Oklahoma on the defense is one to certainly watch. And Peyton Bowen back there at strong safety is starting to come on and become more of a playmaker. They got dudes at all three levels, but Kendall Daniels, Bowen, and David Stone up front's very tough to block, and he's going to be a challenge for that freshman. What is it, right guard that you guys got started? They got a pretty bad grade against Florida. We
had a lot of bad grades against Florida, to be fair. You guys
look at my report card, buddy.
Hey, I will say this: Brandon Baker at right tackle, I do feel like he's come along a little bit. DJ Campbell is at right guard. He's the most experienced O lineman we have, but again, penalties.
Who's the true freshman that started last week?
Last week it's going to be Brooks, and we expect him to start again this week. He is one of the better run blockers that we have in the program, so gonna have to live with some bad potentially. Hopefully he steps it up this week. I mean, he's gonna have a better grade because you really can't have much of a worse grade. We're moving on, putting that behind us. Not everybody had a great day in the swamp, but I will be interested to see, Kendall Daniels and what Brent Venables does with Kendall and what Steve Sarkisian does to throw at Kendall Daniels. Because again, he's a big body. Was it 6'5", 240, 242 back there? That's a big prospect. Let's see. How many times he's turning his hips and running with these guys, and a Texas team has wanted to take some shots. I had my eye on that matchup. He is a guy you can do a ton with, former Oklahoma State Cowboy.
Knew you'd work that in there somewhere.
There you go. Cayman Stewart says David Stone. Robert Tomlin says, who is David Stone? I'm just going to say.
Bad man is who he is.
The people that called him
man.
person, the whoever alleged that he was a 3-star, it's no longer, with Inside Texas. I would just say that. Not
He
my
didn't look
take.
very good last year. Right? I was kind of giving credence to that. Maybe the guy was right, but whatever, light switch has to come on with the guy playing that 3 technique for Oklahoma this year. Man, he has just been a freaking bull on the inside. I mean, almost impossible to block. He's not always making the play in the backfield, but he's destroying it before it gets a chance to go, forcing things sideline to sideline. And as fast as this OU defense is, that's why you're seeing all these tackles for losses. So, yeah, that's going to be a tough matchup for those guys. And you got Jaden Jackson, Dominique Williams, and on the outside, R. Mason Thomas, Marvin Jones. It's a formidable front four for anybody to try to block up.
Yeah, Grayson Halton is one of the fastest dang tackles I've seen as far as in the pass rush. Hello, Ravens fan. Sorry about the early start to your season. Hope it gets a little better for you. I don't have an NFL team. Too much energy watching my team on Saturday, which means we can't go 3-3 after 6 weeks, guys. You talked about a 5-star who's taking a second to come along. Obviously, we have a 5-star plus who, taking them longer to come along than a few fans would like, and a few national media outlets. We'll let that be. But Keenan, when you've seen Arch from week 1 at Ohio State to week 6 at Florida, how do you view his progression at QB? And kind of what do you expect to see out of Arch going forward these next few weeks?
Man, I think I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I feel like they're going to run some Herman spread power runs with the quarterback position, dude, because the thing that I've seen mostly improve with him is the kind of mechanical stuff that we saw in the first, really against UTEP, it was bad. The sidearm and the throws, that kind of thing. I didn't see as much of that against Florida. He was stepping into his throws. He was making throws downfield. You know what I mean? It was a lot. It just looked a lot better. But when you don't have any time to throw, again, like Dave was saying, the slow developing routes on the outside, that just can't happen. Like, you just have to throw underneath stuff, I think, if you're Arch. And I think the best move for Arch is going to be really just embrace the fact that you're going to be running around a lot. Just embrace the fact that you're going to have to be mobile in this game. A lot of that pressure is going to come up through the middle. Guys like David Stone. I know R. Mason Thomas is a really talented guy. He's like more of a 5 tech, I guess. He's not like an interior guy quite as much, but that's a scary defensive line, dude. And Arch is going to be running for his life. Let's just be real about it. I think the key for Texas really is going to be, can they get any of the running backs going? Because if they can't run the ball, OU's going to get coverage sacks. We saw that against Florida too. It wasn't just interior defensive line pressure that was the problem. The corners were really, really good. It was a big problem for Texas. They were just getting sacked on the edge. It was ugly, man. And I think Oklahoma has a much better defense than Florida does, and I think they're more talented in the front 7. So I think ideally what you see from Arch is you see a lot of, designed runs even. Yeah, I think you just have to. I don't think you have an option at this point if you're Steve Sarkisian. You gotta play to your strengths, and his strength is he's a very athletic guy. And I don't know, man. If I'm a Texas fan, which I try not to play Texas fan on shows like this, but I don't feel great about this game, especially with Mateer playing. The way that Pack was saying they disguise those coverages, man, it's going to be really, really difficult, I think, for Texas to get anything going on the offensive end.
I mean, Venables have turned our quarterbacks over the last couple of seasons, going through an early interception last year, multiple turnovers, 3 turnovers, I believe, in the 2023 loss, had a turnover even in the 2022 game, which probably goes into his top 7 or 8 worst throws at Texas. I don't know if anybody can remember that one. Trying to throw it out of bounds, just kind of sailed on him. Again, it didn't matter because Oklahoma was running Wildcat quarterback that day. I say that with empathy, Dave. I really, really do. I don't want to pay several $100s to go watch. Y'all snap the ball to, I don't remember who it was, Braden Willis or whoever was the tight end that day. But
yeah, he played quarterback some in that day. That was a bad day. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I want John Mateer healthy. I want John Mateer to play. I want Texas to have to face that challenge and then rise up to that challenge. Pack, for you, kind of same question as Keenan. What do you expect out of Arch Manning on Saturday? And talk a little bit about what you've seen in his progression from Ohio State through now.
Yeah, I think what Keenan said, you're going to see a lot of him running a lot of scrambles. I think that part of the problem for Texas is just going to be, like we've talked about pretty much all day, it's a lot of different pressures. I think you're gonna have to get him out of the pocket. Shades of what you saw more against Ohio State, where you're running some boot action. If you go back to last year and you watch a lot of the first clips of when Manning is in the game, it's a lot of naked boots where they're running some form of flood. You probably need to be doing stuff like that just to get him out in space, give your O line some help. Um, like Keenan was saying as well, you got to be a little bit more passive in terms of your pass game concepts. They can't all be 5-step, 7-step drops where you're in the pocket for 3+ seconds. It has to be a little bit more quick game, a little bit more. We're gonna get the ball out really quick and hope to get some yak after that. I think he's played better. I was impressed by what I saw generally against Florida. I thought he saw the field pretty well. I thought that generally he managed the pocket well. He still has that problem of he'll stick on a post or a go route for an extra hitch or two, and he'll miss something because of it, where he may not get to a second or a third read, especially on the deeper concepts, which I don't think you can do against OU, not against this defensive line. That's something that you want to see continue to improve. But I thought he got, just from the Ohio State and UTEP game to where it is now, I think you've seen real growth. I thought, given what happened with the offensive line and the way that Florida plays their coverages in terms of all the different rules and all the different stuff that they do, I thought he played well, and I thought he saw it better than a lot of people seeing Florida for the first time would. So you're going to see a lot of running, a lot of scrambling, a lot of him trying to make stuff happen out of structure. I think you'll see him under pressure a lot, and then I do think he has progressed, and we'll see kind of what it looks like on Saturday.
Yeah, well said, guys. Again, I said for the first few weeks of the season, I felt like his mind was going a million miles an hour, which everything was just super sped up, which caused, mental and mechanical breakdowns as far as, going through reads too quickly. And then obviously we saw some funky throws and funky footwork. But again, I thought in Gainesville particularly, you noticed that he had slowed down mentally a little bit, and therefore his body kind of followed. Footwork was a lot cleaner, a little bit more decisive in decision making. He made some really big throws in that game. So, like you both said, we're gonna have to utilize Arch's feet, not just against Oklahoma, but against most teams this year. The most productive that we were rushing the football as far as yardage gained on plays was Arch scrambling around. You don't want that on every snap, obviously, but it's not crazy to say that our best efforts on the ground going forward might be via Arch scrambling, on backyard and broken down plays. Design runs, I'm curious to see how many Sarkisian would want to dial up for Arch, because he knows that he's going to get touched up a little bit, scrambling around, and most likely just taking some hits. Even if he's getting the ball out quick, he's still going to get touched up with this Oklahoma defense. They are very, very damn good. They're going to get to the quarterback. So, yeah, do y'all have a number in your mind? We've talked about it before. I kind of have always said 7, 8, 10 on the upside, but this is a game Texas has to win. You got to get inside of the red zone and convert. You can't just get down there. I think Texas will be pretty good in between the 20s in comparison to, the first couple of weeks of the year. But can they convert against a really good Oklahoma defense when the field shrinks a little bit? Do y'all have a number in mind, though? We're going to see some March red zone carries, assuming that we get inside the red zone.
I think I think it needs to be at least 8. I don't know if you want to go any more than 12, any more than 10. I don't know that you want him taking that many hits, knowing he's also going to be getting out of the pocket and scrambling a decent amount. So 8 to 10, enough to, you probably want him to have the second most carries behind Wisner, whoever's going to be the main back on Saturday. But he's probably going to be your best run game, so it needs to be at least a decent amount, I would say.
Agreed. What about you, Kenan? Is that a fair amount, or you want to go crazy? 25 carries, Tim Tebow, power spread.
Or to see the rebirth of Sam Ellinger, man.
Battering ram.
Yeah, I think you just have to win this game. I think I agree with Pac, because Pac knows ball more than me with football. again, I'm here for the vibes. I'm more of a hoops guy, but I love football. But you're gonna have to run some design stuff for him. Like there's no way around it. Like we saw that Texas couldn't run the ball against anybody. They haven't run the ball well once this year. Against UTEP, they couldn't run the ball. And it's just like it's shocking, and it speaks to a miscalculation from the coaching staff on the offensive line talent. Like it seems to me like they maybe should have gone portaling for somebody, a guard. I think the tackles are okay, but man, that interior of that line is a huge weakness. And like if you're trying to run the way that Texas, I mean, you look at Sark's offense, like everybody thinks of him as this quarterback guru, but his teams, they run the ball a lot. And if you can't run the ball, Oklahoma doesn't have to stack the box. So then, like I was saying earlier, you can get some coverage sacks. You can get those guys, especially with the slow developing routes. I mean, you're just going to have to throw underneath. I think they're going to have to take advantage of the tight ends. I think they're going to have to throw routes to tight ends. I think that's going to be really important. Man, the more I hear Pack and Dave talk about this, the less good I feel about this game for Texas. I mean, truly, like it seems like a recipe for disaster. I mean, just everything that Oklahoma is strong with seems to be Texas' weakness on the offense. And then the other thing too is the whole problem with what I thought Texas defense was going to be, maybe not as good as last year's. So I think last year's Texas defense was one of the best defenses we've seen out of a Longhorns team, maybe since 2009. And I think the 23 defense was really good too, just because of the strength of the interior of that defensive line with Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy. But man, they got gashed by Florida. I mean, Florida ran the ball really effectively in that game, and they controlled the clock. And if Oklahoma controls the clock, I think Jaden Ott and Jaden Baugh, like, I don't think they're similar players, but they can be similarly effective against this Texas defense. And man, if Oklahoma controls the clock, this game is going to be ugly, and it's going to be like a 20-3 Oklahoma win. And that's sort of what I'm starting to feel like it's going to be. I don't see Texas scoring a lot of points with their struggles in the red zone, with their inability to run the ball, with the amount of pressure Oklahoma is going to put on Arch Manning. It doesn't look good from the Texas perspective. Now, it's a weird game. When I was in college at UT, like, Texas beat OU in the dumbest game I've ever seen, which was the Dajay Johnson punt return touchdown, right? Like, this game is weird. Weird things happen. The better team doesn't always win. But when you look at it from an X's and O's perspective, it's not in Texas' favor. And I saw the opening line was Texas -3. I'm sure that's flipped at this point. I haven't looked in a while. But, like, there's no way people are thinking, especially with this Mateer announcement, like, that line's going to flip like 8 points.
Yeah, I mean, Cord, I saw you smiling a second ago about the Arch Manning run stuff. I think that's Texas' best bet to move the football with a run game against Oklahoma. Conversely, I think that's very risky for obvious reasons. He's going to be taking a beating from a very fast, very physical defense.
Yep.
And Oklahoma is just so quick to penetrate their gaps. Those guys up front are just in the backfield in the blink of an eye. And when you've got a leaky offensive line already, that just – if they stay behind the chains, if they get out of, down in distances that they can manage in the Cotton Bowl, and Oklahoma gets a lead and that crowd gets behind them, and that's what you're trying to lean on as a quarterback run game against that front seven. I mean, Auburn did it pretty well before they came into Norman with Jackson Arnold, and they completely shut that down with, I think, the tune of 10 sacks on top of it. So
yep.
I don't see where the points for Texas are coming from. Keenan was exactly right. I've taught myself to expect the unexpected in this game. You never know what's going to happen, right? On the floor of the Cotton Bowl, the records, the rankings, all that crap doesn't matter. But schematically, looking at these two teams, I don't know where Texas gets their points. And John Mateer for Oklahoma is a legit difference maker, and he more than likely is going to play. So I don't really see a scenario that Texas comes out of this. And by the way, I like Oklahoma's special teams units a little bit better as well.
We'll keep getting right into it, guys, but first let's go back to our sponsor, Laura Baker.
If you're looking for a home in the Austin area, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. Laura's a part of the elite Andy Allen team at Keller Williams Realty. She's helped Longhorns find their dream homes all over Central Texas. You can just ask our very own Ian Boyd, who moved from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Whether you're searching in Austin, Round Rock, Georgetown, San Marcos, or even parts of the 254 or the 210, Laura has you covered. So call 512-784-0505, or you can email her at laura@andyallenteam.com. She's a Longhorn, a friend of Inside Texas, and the person you need to call to get your next home in Central Texas. Call Laura Baker today. Contact info is in the description.
Alrighty, guys. So we've talked a little bit about, obviously the Texas offensive line. We've talked about Archman. We've talked about John Mateer. I have question marks about Oklahoma and the offensive line. Dave, talk to us about that. You can run it out left to right if you want to. Give us some of the strengths and some of the weaknesses maybe of that group that Oklahoma's going to be trotting out on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, Derek Simmons, the right tackle, it looked really good in the first 3 weeks, and then inexplicably against Kent State got whipped like a rented mule. I mean, bad 2 or 3 times to the point we're texting each other, guys on the franchise like Colin Simmons has got to be licking his chops right now. So I definitely see that as something Texas can try to exploit and attack. On the flip side, Mike Lasusi is back at left tackle. That's really good news. And the interior, that's kind of where the weakness is, in my opinion. Fabechi Wiwu, number 54, the right guard. The center, Makala has been okay, but they just can't get any type of consistent push, especially in that zone blocking scheme. They've been decent at pass pro. They really have, and given Mateer some time. That's why he's put up really good numbers. So I expect them to do better in pass pro this week than run blocking. But, guys, that's where having a dynamic playmaker like a Jaden Knott, if he really, has taken a step and got to where we all thought he would be, can make up for that. A good running back can make an O-line that's not that good look pretty good. I think he's there. So, yeah, right now they got better graded on pass pro. Not very good in run blocking, but John Mateer can also carry the ball. You gain a blocker in the quarterback run game. So that's something Texas will have to keep an eye on. That's definitely part of his game.
Yeah, and you got to be curious, with him fresh off of, surgery or recovery, how many times do you run a John Mateer? You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, if it's even cut in half from his usual work, does that play into Oklahoma's favor? Does it play into Texas's favor? It's going to be curious. There's going to be major chess matches going on around on both sides of the football for both. Where does Texas's points come from? You said that. I mean, we don't have the elusiveness of a Jaden Knott in our backfield. We got to keep it a buck. Cedric Baxter's not going to play on Saturday. Trey Wisner, is going to be the most experienced back, that probably is playing in this game. So maybe Texas, gets a benefit from that. But again, you're going to have maybe some better scheme in the run game, more creativity in the run game, and then, obviously just better blocking in the run game. So, yeah, I mean, you got to give Oklahoma, even though I feel like you do have question marks. I mean, they're still the offensive line look better than Texas has. So appreciate you running that down, Dave. For me, and this is, it doesn't have anything to do for the most part with X's and O's. It's just, I feel like this is such a prove-it game for Steve Sarkisian, prove-it game for Kyle Flood, prove-it game for Pete Kwiatkowski, who probably have one of the worst game plans, in my opinion, that he's had in the last couple of seasons for Florida. Double spying DJ Lagway, who's not looking to run at any point in that football game. And that's just one example. DJ made an incredible throw on one of the times he was double spied, though, for what it's worth. Got to give credit there. This is huge for Texas. I mean, you prove that, hey, last year wasn't a fluke, and we, prove all the schedule stuff is silly. Prove that you're still potentially a playoff team this year. Very long uphill climb to get there. But to me, I mean, that is where I have confidence in Texas. I think that the defense struggling last week, I do expect them to bounce back because I do think Florida's offensive line is a little bit better than Oklahoma's. I do think Florida's receiving core maybe a hair. I do like Isaiah Satania a lot. I think he found a pretty good home and a really good offense with Ben Arbuckle. Anybody else you see at wide receiver making an impact in this game, Dave? I think y'all will try to get Satania loose on a couple. You'll take your shots, especially if it is John Mateer. He's looked pretty good with Satania, but anybody else that you can see kind of stepping up? And also, how's a guy that, and I'm not trying to make fun here, but is a guy that hit the wall, is he still questionable?
Yeah, miraculously, it's questionable, and not just without a doubt, he's done for the rest of the year. I thought when I saw that, I was coming back from Arkansas in a team bus from calling another game, and I had the worst thoughts because of the angle and the way that looked and the reaction. I mean, thank God he's okay, but yeah, he's questionable to actually play. I don't think he will. But a guy that just came back last week, it was just miraculous timing for Oklahoma that plays the exact same spot, would have been the starter preseason. Giovanni Gibson just got back from being hurt and played last week. So he's going to slide right into Keontez Lewis' spot, the young lad that got hurt. He's a 6'4", 235-pound guy that can do a standing backflip very fast. He's something that Oklahoma hasn't had in the wide receiving corps. A physical red zone target, a guy that you can catch it at 10, break a tackle, and go 30. He adds an extra element to this offense. Him stepping right in is good. Keep an eye on number 11. That's Giovanni Gibson. Deion Burks has kind of, been forgotten since the Michigan game. He had a couple really good starts. And since then, he's been all right, 4 or 5 catches a game, 60 yards or so. But I expect him to have an impact in this game. He's too good, too experienced. He and Mateer also have really good chemistry. And then, Satania on your deeper stuff, that guy's got a different gear. So top to bottom, it's a very good wide receiving core. But the hidden gem in this entire thing, Jaren Kinnick, the former linebacker, now playing tight end, that I think leads the nation in tight end yardage and reception. Out of nowhere, nobody saw this coming. I mean, we talked about it like it was a novelty, right? He's going to go to offense. That's cute. We might see him like in a package 2 or 3 times a year. Nobody saw this coming. He is a legit weapon. A guy that ran the 10x100 out of Hays, Kansas, was a top 100 running back coming out of high school. He can go with the ball in his hands. He can catch it, and he runs really good routes. Also a really good blocker. So they've got stuff underneath with him. I think that probably we've seen saved. I think you're going to see him out of the backfield a little bit, maybe on some counter lead block type stuff. And don't be surprised if the ball's in his hands on some type of a pitch to the outside either. So those 4 guys I'd keep an eye on. But Kinnick I think is going to have a bust out game in the Cotton Bowl.
Dave, we talked a little bit about. It's probably a month before we kicked off, and you and I are just trading audio texts, and we're talking about Kinnick and what to expect there. And unfortunately, I remember sending you one that said Brent Venables has Ben Arbuckle rolling him out there as tight end 1 in an absolute make or break year for Oklahoma football. I feel like that probably means he might be a bit of a dog out there. I don't want to see him do it in the Cotton Bowl. I feel like Texas has really outperformed you at the tight end position in the last several years in the Cotton Bowl. Steve Sarkisian has attacked Brent Venables' defenses, even dating all the way back to the Orange Bowl in 2004 with a good tight end. And so that's what I got for you, Pack. Where is Jack injuries? Do you see the potential for him to have a big role in this game? You look back, and Texas has had a lot of success with Jatavian Sanders and then Gunnar Helm against Venables and the Sooners the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, I think that's probably something you look to see if they attack early, right? Who does OU put on him? Or what are they going to do just in general when they're in man coverage? Or are they going to put I'm already blanking on his name, number 5. He's really good for them. He's their
Kendall
cheetah.
Daniels,
Yeah, I'm not great with names. You'll learn that. If they put him on him, or if they're going to roll a safety down, play a safety on injuries. It kind of depends, right? You got to look. It's got to be a little bit of matchup hunting. You want to see him get involved just because he can be Arch's safety blanket, especially in a game like this where, again, we keep talking about how you're going to need to have a little bit more of an intermediate to short game. You're going to have to be more okay with hitting that 6-yard hitch or a 5-yard stop route or a spot route or whatever it is. You got to be pretty comfortable letting guys try to make plays in space. So you would hope, just because of that nature, he's pretty involved in the game plan. If he's not, that probably means that OU's done a really good job to take him away. Or you're kind of seeing the same things with Manning, where he's trying to hunt a little bit too much for the big play. But in an ideal world for Texas, in the world where they win this game and where the offense has enough success to win, I think you do need injuries to have a good game.
I agree, man. And I've said for a long time that a capable tight end and a guy that, when Texas gets a tight end rolling, that's when you really start to see the upside of a Texas offense dating back to, I think back in Tuscaloosa in 2023 in a tight ball game there. And that's when they really put an emphasis on JT Sanders. And then other things started to open up. You get Adonai Mitchell on a double move. We've seen Texas have all types of success with tight end leagues and things like that. might not have too much time to run too many leaks or anything like that. But again, I agree, Pac. I think you got to be not super heavy on Jack Hendricks and the intermediate stuff. You've got enough guys who are capable down there, in my opinion. I think we'll see Evan Mosley play a big part in that type of role, hopefully making some tough catches. But yeah, Jack Hendricks used a big frame. Take your 4 or 5 yards. Last year Texas was, basically screening teams to death on first and second down, using that as an extension of the run game. We haven't been really successful in the screen game yet. Not running a ton of the screen game yet. We do know that Steve Sarkisian is likely holding back a few things for Oklahoma. I know that he has a ton of respect for Brent Venables and that defense, and there's always a couple of wrinkles that both teams are going to come out there with. You can say the same thing about Ben Arbuckle, same thing about Brent Venables on the defensive side, and PK on our side. Keenan, is anybody on the Texas offense not named Arch Manning that you think has to have a big game for Texas to have a chance to win this one? Which we've already established. You might say Mason Shipley's. I think you said we might score 3.
I mean, Parker Livingston is a guy who I thought was going to be out for the season after that hospital ball that Arch threw him, where he just got his knee knocked. I mean, I thought he was done for the year, and yeah. So it's going to be a game where these running backs haven't proven much yet, and I don't know how much of that's on them. I don't know if they're Jags or if this offensive line is just Jags, but I think you got to have a big game out of Livingston. He's been one of the primary targets. Wingo. I mean, the receivers. The receivers were really bad for the first couple. I think the receivers have come along a lot as well as Arch has. Their route running seems to be tighter, which is something that was a huge problem against Ohio State. It was even bad against UTEP. You know what I mean? And it sort of came back together against Sam Houston, but Sam Houston is not quality competition for a team like Texas. So I don't know how much you can really get out of that. I think Livingston has to be the big target. I think I was going to make the point that Andre, or how do you pronounce the name? Endries. I remember thinking that in this game, that's going to be super important because you're going to have to throw those underneath routes. You're going to have to throw those check downs. That's going to be huge in this game because those slow developing routes are not going to work against this defense. They're going to be shooting the gaps. It's going to be ugly, man. And I don't know who of our listenership is a betting man, but I would go the under on this game probably just because I don't see a lot of points for Texas. I like James Simon a lot. I think he's a pretty talented guy. Freshman running back, but I mean they have talented backs. It's just if you can't get through the interior of the offensive line, I don't really know how much you can do with the run game in general. Like Dave was saying earlier, man, if Arch's runs are your bread and butter for this game, you're in trouble, man, because he's going to be banged up. You don't want to risk injury, obviously, but also it's Sark's job to win games. If you have to run Arch a bunch of times, you have to run Arch a bunch of times. And whether the miscalculation by the staff on the offensive line, I mean, none of that matters. You got a game on Saturday, and if the only way you're going to move the ball is running Arch Manning, you got to run Arch Manning. It's unfortunate that that's the reality that Texas is living in right now. But, man, it's just not – I agree with Dave, man. I don't see where the points come from. I mean, they're going to have to get very lucky with some blown coverages on the back end. I don't know what to expect, but I don't expect more than, on the high end, 17 points for Texas. And I don't think that's going to be enough to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, if you went if you score 17 points, and there is a healthy John Mateer on the other side. I give Ben Arbuckle a ton of respect and credit, and so they're good enough on scheme alone, in my opinion, with their starting quarterback. To put that up, so it's going to be tough. It's going to be really, really difficult. I'll give you that. I think we see, I think Inside Texas believes to see a lot of Christian Clark this week. That is a guy who I think has the most upside in this running back room. Again, he hasn't been flawless. Again, blocking hasn't been flawless. Does that mean that, it's all on them? No. There's been a couple times where Christian, has missed a read, bounce something when he should have bounced something, not taking some yardage that was there. Maybe if it's a little bit tougher yardage. So, and again, Victor in the comments agrees with you, Keenan, low scoring game. I think that's most people have a low scoring game. If you have a prediction, Pack, what is it?
Yeah, I went 23 OU, Texas 13. Got to repeat what Dave and Keenan said about it. I just don't see a lot of ways that Texas is going to be able to have success. Now, I did say before, I told you this, Cord, before the Auburn game, I thought the secondary was a bit susceptible to explosives just because of they play downhill really fast, and you can get them a couple times with that. But in order to do that, you got to protect for long enough. And Auburn got 2 or 3, and they still only scored, I want to say, what was it, 17 points, 16 points. Uh, and that's a really good wide receiver room, right? That's Cam Coleman, who's likely going to be a top 10 pick in 2027 or 2028, whatever year he's in the draft. It's Eric Singleton, who they paid $1 million for in the portal. It's a lot of really good players there in their wide receiver room, and you still didn't see that. You didn't see Auburn rack them over the head with explosives. You saw a couple of them. I think you have to hit at least 4 or 5 in order to get over 17 points, because I don't see them being able to run the ball, and when you can't run the ball against OU, I don't know how much success you're going to have, just because you're giving the world to Venables. He can do whatever he wants whenever he wants. You start to let him dictate the terms. And I think to me, it kind of reminds me of, if you go and watch the last 2 years and you really study those 2 games, the natural answer for Sark after those early interceptions for Ewers was the run game, right? Like, they leaned on OU a little bit, where after the 2 picks against OU in 23, they ran the ball a bit more, and then they were able to get Ewers a bit more comfortable. Last year, we know the early pick, and he struggled throughout the game, and it was outside zone with Trey Wisner that really gave Texas a big momentum boost and won the game for them. So it typically goes where Venables gets the best of Sark early, and then Sark will use the run game to try to figure some things out, and then as the game goes, he can find more and more answers. If you don't have the run game, it's going to be really, really hard to find those answers and to be able to figure out things to do, because they're not going to respect the play action game. They can put 6 guys in the box, 5 guys in the box. They can play coverage, and they can eliminate that stuff. They can take away the RPO by running their odd front stuff and playing quarters and taking their overhangs out of the fit. There's a lot of different things they can do when you're not able to run the ball. And this is the same problem that Texas has had against pretty much every one of these elite SEC defenses, whether it was Florida this year, Georgia both times last year. When you can't run the ball against these teams, you give their defensive coordinators, who are tremendous at their job, you give them way too much leeway.
Yeah, I mean, and they have elite athletes to back it up. I said for a while, man, the longer that Venables is at Oklahoma, the worse I'd feel about this matchup, just because he's eventually going to get his type of cats on the defensive line to do the things that he wants to do. And if he can wipe out a run game, then, yeah, it almost becomes child's play for the guy. I mean, I got a lot of respect for him. So we got Keenan, Dave, you got an official score prediction for us, brother? I think you might have told me on the timeline today, but
yeah, if I did, I forgot. But let me interject some hope here. All this negative stuff on Inside Texas I'm seeing, you got to be kidding me. This is the Red River Shootout. I mean,
not me, baby.
Take this crap and throw it out the window.
Look, I love this guy.
Look, man, 3-2. They're the Walking Dead. They're unranked. Oklahoma's 6th in the country, undefeated. They're big and bad. I don't care. None of that stuff is going to matter when the ball's kicked off. Where Brent Venables has been susceptible. Pack just talked about it. Going back to his early days in Norman, his days at Clemson, he goes cover 0, whether he has to or he doesn't, and brings more guys than they can block. He doesn't need to with his front, but he's going to do it anyway. Guess what? That's going to leave one-on-one coverage against pretty good wide receivers for Texas. Arch Manning can throw better than Jackson Arnold. If Jackson Arnold could throw, they had 2 walk-in touchdowns. That's Auburn, both to Cam Coleman. He missed them both by overthrows. So all he has to do is hit 1, hit 2 of those, get the Texas crowd engaged. Oklahoma on offense is not a world beater, right? So get the momentum in the Cotton Bowl. I definitely see a way Texas wins this game. But like we talked about, schematically, the 2 teams just going straight up, take all that out of the equation. I think Oklahoma is a little bit further along. So I'm going to go Oklahoma 24, Texas 14 for my final.
So none of you even have a single score game. I'm taking Texas to win because I'm going to call this a culture win. This is a prove it game. And again, like Dave just said, you know, if we don't show up as the more pissed off team here, you know, Oklahoma's going to want, you know, after last year, you get beat 34-3. Like they a lot of members on that team are a part of that. Like you're going to show up if you're Oklahoma, but we better see the best version as far as the discipline that we've seen this year. That is a big thing that we've really not addressed whatsoever. Limit the penalties. That's going to go ahead and help an offensive line that's really put themselves behind the chains over and over and over again. I think we see a very disciplined side of football in the Texas for Texas defensively. I think we see a pretty aggressive Texas defensive front who tries to create some tackles for loss. And again, I'm curious to see how much Oklahoma wants to run John Mateer if he is indeed, active on Sunday. We know there's probable mean he's playing. You know, I mean, I would respect it almost if it's just more mind games. But again, I want the kid to be healthy. But you can, I mean, damn sure bet on it that if John Mateer goes out there and they're running the ball, you know, I mean, it's football, gamesmanship. Texas is going to take a couple shots at the hands and see if he can protect that football and protect that hand simultaneously. So I can't wait to watch it. I've got Texas 20, Oklahoma 17, because I think Texas just scraps enough explosive plays together. Like Pac mentioned, you're going to have to find 4+, maybe even more, to get close to that point total. But one thing that Texas cannot do, especially if John Mateer is on the football field, is turn the football over. You cannot do it. You cannot have short fields. Arch Manning has to play some hero ball. He's going to have to play some hero ball, dialed down a notch at times. You cannot have those turnovers. I don't hate the first turnover he had last week. He just missed a touch high on a good read, the right read. The second one is forced late in the game. They're trying to press and get back into it. We can't have any forcing, man. Just take what's there. Let's throw the ball out of bounds. He's going to have to scramble. It's going to be war. All right, we're done talking football. We got a few more minutes here. Keenan, you've been to this game, right? You've been to the fair?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I was favorite memory.
No. We're getting to a real question. I need your favorite food you've ever had at the Texas State Fair.
Fried ice cream is pretty awesome, dude. Fried Oreos are pretty awesome.
Fried Oreos, yeah.
Fried Oreos slap, dude. I'm not gonna front. Those are bomb as hell, man. I'll take down a few of those. I'm not gonna be there this weekend, unfortunately. I have a new baby girl, so I'm taking care of her this weekend. I'll be in Austin, but I will be watching, hopefully celebrating at the end of the game. But real quick because I have to get off in a second because I have to do another stream right after this. But I remember my freshman year of college, I was a fraternity pledge, and we went to the game, and it was 2012. I'm sure Dave remembers this game pretty well. It was 58-12, I believe, something like that. Yeah. And I had a few drinks in me, and I like walk up to this Texas fan, and I'm like, he's leaving the game, and I don't know what the score is because I'm drinking. And he's like, "I'll sell you these tickets," and I was like, "Cool." Gave him $200. Walk in, it's 38-2. A Texas fan did that to me, dude. A Texas fan did that to me. I was like 19. I was so mad.
Yikes. Oh my gosh. I was there for that one.
Have some respect for your brothers, man. Come on.
I think Oklahoma scored more times on defense that day than Texas scored on offense.
It was rough. It was not fun. But then we got them next year, so that was fun. But yeah.
Right.
Well, Keenan, get out of here, man. I'll first off, congrats on the new baby girl, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, same, man.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Dave, Pack, I'll throw you both follows on Twitter right after this. So good talking ball with you fellas, man. This is a lot of fun. Pack and Dave, I mean, Cord, you're the man, obviously. Pack and Dave, you guys know your ball, dude. It's sick to watch. I'm a vibes guy, so I'm glad I got to just be included in this awesome high-level football discussion. So I appreciate it, fellas.
Good vibes. Good to meet you, man.
Appreciate you guys.
See you soon. All right. Yeah, that's pretty awesome, man. I have done some pretty dumb things. Tickets and purchasing tickets, under the influence after some fun at tailgates, and have also not an experience like that. That's pretty rough. But
that's rough. Yeah.
Pac, have you been to this game? You've been to the Texas State Fair?
Yeah.
And what about you? What's the best food you've had inside the fairgrounds?
I do think it has to be the fried Oreos. I'm a little I don't eat a lot of sweet food when I'm not doing things like going to the state fair, but once you get me there, I can put down a decent amount of the candy and all the sweet stuff there. So I got to go with that.
Got a lot of options. How about you, Dave?
Yeah, it's tough to go. Last year, it was so bad, so ugly. I had to get out and go back to the house because I had to do OU post game on the radio station. So I had to get back in time to do it. So I left the group, and along the way, I stopped and grabbed the fried Oreo to eat when I got back to the house. Yeah, that's where the bread is buttered. Tough to go wrong with just a regular corn dog at the fair with mustard straight up. I mean, they taste different. It tastes better at the fair. So yeah, give me a corn dog and a fried Oreo, and I am good to go.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I can't do the fried Oreos. I think they're terrible.
What?
I'm gonna be
That's
honest.
okay.
I think they're incredibly mid.
Mutant
Ma-
stuff for mutant.
Maybe so. I make them for the kids all the time. They like them. Every time I try, I'm like, maybe this is the day that I can crush this fried Oreo. But let me talk to you about the fried Twinkies out there, brother. Let me talk to you about that. That is delectable. That is next level. That is worth the price of admission alone. A little pound of sugar, a little chocolate drizzle, insanity. And yes,
I'm
we're
game
also,
for that. I'll try that any day, man.
I'm telling you, I'm not a big Twinkie by itself guy, but after a couple state fair
That's-
beers led to a Twinkie one time, and now we have a love. What are you saying, Pac? Sorry.
It sounds way too sweet for me. That's just like the fried Oreo is like, it's just like at the very top of what I can tolerate. You put a Twinkie in there, I don't know about that.
I would need a glass of milk about this big to put that down, I think.
Yeah.
Can I be honest with you guys? 2021, I think I had 2 pregame. I had 2 fried Twinkies. And then y'all saw what happened in 2021. I mean, I walked around the fair probably in depression for 30 or 45 minutes. I had to pull a couple more out. And I think I had a total of 4 fried Twinkies at the 2021 loss to the Sooners. But I'm with you, Dave. Like, I kind of have, we have a blueprint how we do this thing. I'm going to be at the State Fair at 7 o'clock. Anybody wants to come to the food court, say hello. I'll be in there by 7:20. But I go straight for the chicken and waffle sliders. Again, a little bit of powdered sugar on there, a little syrup, so a little sweet, but a little protein as well. They cook very, very well every time. I've done that the last 3 years. And then for lunch, we're going to go knock out a couple corn dogs, just as you said, Dave. They are elite at the State Fair. Can't do the mustard and save that for you, man. But yeah, they're next level. I'm a big fan of that. And then yes, of course, at some point we do find the fried Twinkies. I will say, big fan of the 2:30 kickoff because I have a lot more room to fit all of my mess in, each and every year. But I was standing there last year at the food court at like 12:30, and I was like, dang, are we ever gonna kick off with these guys?
You are making me feel really good about having to miss this year, by the way. I really appreciate all the talk about all the food and the beer court and the festivities. This will be my first time in, 9 years I haven't been on the call for another a college team up here in Oklahoma Saturday, so can't make it. So, Cord, Pack, I don't know if you're going. If you do, hold it down. Keep it real for all of us sinners that can't be there and have fun.
I went the last 2 years. I'm not going this year. I'm doing something with high school right now, like kind of I guess you could call it a consulting gig. So I got to do some football stuff for them. So unfortunately, this is how most of my Saturdays go, from about 11 to 6 every Saturday. I'm just watching tape and calling coaches and talking to them. So I don't get to watch a lot of college football these days. It's a little weird. Sunday is my college football day.
Same.
Everything for me is a day
Same.
behind, and I
Me
won't
and
really.
Pack, dude. Yep. Yeah. Corey, this is what working in college football and football looks like. So don't ever end up here. You won't be able to enjoy college football Saturday, by the way.
Well, now it's I'm not enjoying much college football Saturdays right now because Texas A&M's 5-0, Texas Tech is 5-0, Oklahoma's 5-0, and fans act like our pets' heads are falling off when a few of us here try to warn them of some early season struggles. It will not be perfect on the offensive side of the ball. But I digress. I'm going to be honest, Dave, I'll miss you, man. We're obviously long overdue. We've done this probably 50 times together, but still have not face-to-face. And we were so close last year, but AT&T got us. Pac, I'm, 24-14 prediction or 23-13 prediction. You're not coming to the game. Some people would say you're busy, but some people might say you're abandoning ship. I'm just saying. I got my eye on you, Pac. I'm keeping up. I'm watching. Careful out here. But nah, fellas, I love you guys. Appreciate y'all joining me here tonight on Inside Texas. And guys, if you haven't done so, go ahead and hop on over to Inside Texas. Get subscribed there. Like this video. Go tell a friend to watch it. Check it out. Texas OU 2:30 Saturday, just around the corner from Big Tex. It's going to be mad. I'm sticking with it. I feel like I'm alone. I'm on an island by myself tonight, taking the Horns. But they have really good reasoning as to why they think Oklahoma wins this game. Can't argue with them. Dave, Pack, Dave, thanks very much. Y'all have a good night, guys.
All right, gents.
Yep.